break there. Two old cats like us, Hank Williams Jr. and Ray Charles. We're going to break away from our phone calls. We have a real treat for you this morning. I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Margaret. Good morning, Margaret.
Good afternoon. I'm Margaret Murchison with the noon news, brought to you Monday through Friday at this time by Central Electric Membership Corporation, a Touchstone Energy cooperative. And now the news. Only in North Carolina can you have highs near 70 degrees with severe weather one day and a chance of snow less than 48 hours later. But that's the forecast this weekend for Central North Carolina. There is a small window late tonight through the early morning hours of Saturday when a small amount of moisture and some upper-level energy could move down from Virginia after the cold front to bring some light rain and snow to Central North Carolina. Overnight tonight into Saturday from about midnight to 6 a.m. Saturday is the most likely timing of the snow. Most of this will occur while everyone is asleep, but don't plan on waking up to a winter wonderland. The snow will be light, if it falls at all, and the ground is very warm, so accumulation will be extremely difficult. A dusting of snow on elevated and grassy surfaces is possible for most of Central North Carolina as the brief system moves north to south. Travel impacts are not expected since the ground is warm, and the morning low Saturday is expected to be just above freezing. Leading up to the snow tonight will be mostly sunny and dry with cooler highs in the lower 50s. Clouds move in tonight before the snow chance. Saturday and the rest of the holiday weekend will be mostly sunny, dry, and chilly. Highs won't get out of the 40s Saturday, with 50s expected Saturday and Sunday. So far this season, Central North Carolina has not received any measurable snow. However, January is our snowiest month on average. 50% of our seasonal snow falls in the first month of the year. We have never had a snow-free winter in Central North Carolina. There has only been a trace of snow several times. We told you yesterday about the information regarding the Life Springs Church, and that's according to an investigation report done by Richard Sullins and Gordon of the Rant. Now, it seems that the Life Springs Dream Center posted a Facebook video yesterday acknowledging the organization's leadership had been aware that Pastor Daniel Owens, who has been central in Life Springs Church's efforts to obtain $500,000 in county funding for the center, pled guilty to federal Medicare fraud charges in 2021 and will be sentenced later this month. Owens appeared in the video with lead pastor Dale Sauls, who did most of the speaking. Sauls said the situation was not fortunate and bad. He said, "We found out that on social media has surfaced some information about my twin brother, Pastor Daniel, that has been less than flattering to say the least. So we felt that we needed to give some sort of explanation about that." He said, "In this particular situation, we knew about this situation before it happened, during it happened, and after it happened." Neither Sauls nor Owens responded Wednesday to multiple attempts by phone and email to reach them for comment about Owens's November 2021 guilty plea in a Philadelphia federal court. Questions posed by email included: if you or the church in general were aware of the guilty plea, why was the information that a leader of your efforts had recently pled guilty to federal fraud charges not discussed at the time of LSAT's application for funding? And do you feel like the taxpayers and commissioners from whom your organization was soliciting money deserve to know that you've pled guilty to federal fraud charges? Those questions were not addressed in the video. Instead, Sauls explained that Owens was deceived by a previous employer and that it was too late to avoid charges by the time he learned he had broken the law. Catherine Andre, 21, was arrested by Sanford police yesterday and charged with failure to appear. Louis Edward Covington, 66, arrested and charged with possession with intent to sell cocaine, maintaining a place for drugs, and possession of drug paraphernalia at 913 Washington Avenue. He was additionally charged with possession with intent to sell cocaine, possession of marijuana, and possession of drug paraphernalia at the same location. Jose Antonio Reyes Serra, 47, was arrested and charged with possessing of stolen goods at 913 Washington Avenue. Demetrius Lamont Kills, 45, was arrested on a true bill of indictment. Society was the victim of a drug violation on Washington Avenue. Dollar General on Glenwood Drive was a victim of larceny and shoplifting. Nakia Lena Hedden was a victim of theft of property from her vehicle on Pine Ridge Street. Eduardo Ramon Gomez was a victim of fraud on Saddlebrook Drive. In Chatham County, according to published reports, Chatham County Schools says it is addressing a situation involving a fourth grade teacher who faces 5 counts of assault with a deadly weapon in connection with an incident which occurred after he was hired but before his first day of work. Eric Hudson, 45, who on Friday was listed as a teacher on Pittsburgh Elementary School's faculty, faces a January 18th court date following an incident which took place last July. According to the incident report filed by the Chatham County Sheriff's Office, Hudson threatened the victims with a gun. He also is charged with destruction to personal property. 2 of the victims of the alleged attack, a brother and sister, said they and 3 other friends went to explore an area on a road near Hudson's property on Riverbend Road in Silas City. The area, both the children and the children's mother said, is reportedly known by many as the site of what some have described as a devil church. Vaccinations among kindergartners declined for the 2nd year in a row, leaving hundreds of thousands of young children vulnerable to dangerous infectious diseases. That's according to the U.S. health officials. About 93% of kindergartners had their required vaccinations during the 2021-2022 school year, including the measles, mumps, rubella, diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, polio, and chickenpox vaccines. That's according to a new study published yesterday in the Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report, a publication of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. That's down from 94% nationwide during the 2020-2021 school year and 95% for the 2019-2020 school year. While this might not sound significant, it means nearly 250,000 kindergartners are potentially not protected against measles alone. Dr. Georgina Peacock, director of the CDC's Immunization Services Division, said during a Thursday media briefing on the findings that we know that measles, mumps, and rubella vaccination coverage for kindergartners is the lowest it has been in over a decade. About 2.6% of kindergartners had an exemption for 1 or more required vaccines, compared with 2.2% for the previous school year. Of those 2021-2022 exemptions, 2.3% were for non-medical reasons. The exemption numbers are encouraging in that they have remained low despite controversy and misinformation related to vaccines. Dr. Sean O'Leary, chair of the American Academy of Pediatrics Committee on Infectious Diseases, said while the numbers for kindergartners are concerning, another MMWR report detailing vaccinations among toddlers born in 2018 and 2019 offered some degree of hope. That study found that vaccination coverage among 24-month-olds remained strong and even increased among children born in 2018 and 2019 compared to those born in 2016 and 2017. More than 90% of toddlers had gotten the MMR, polio, hepatitis B, and chickenpox vaccines. However, the researchers found disparities in vaccine coverage among toddlers based on location, income, and insurance coverage. The report found that coverage with the combined 7 vaccine series for children living below poverty or in rural areas decreased by 4 to 5 percentage points during the pandemic. The report also found the percentage of uninsured children not vaccinated by their 2nd birthday was 8 times that of privately insured children. Gaps in vaccine coverage led to entirely preventable outbreaks, such as 2 measles outbreaks reported in U.S. communities last year and a case of paralytic polio in an unvaccinated person in New York. If you ordered COVID-19 tests through the federal government recently, you might want to check the expiration dates. Although the actual expiration had already been extended by 6 months for the health COVID test, some will expire soon. Nora Bogstone of Douglas County, Colorado, was among those who ordered the full free test in December, which arrived with expiration dates listed as this past July or August, even after adding the extension by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. 2 of her tests expired January 2nd. She said she honestly thought when they ordered them that they would be getting something current that they could have on hand for a while. Still, those ordering free tests can see a notice on the U.S. Postal Service site that advises checking the extended expiration dates on the U.S. Food and Drug Administration website. Consumers can find their test by batch lot number. The lot number is printed on the back of each test box. Neither the FDA or the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, which is in charge of the test distribution program, responded for a request to comment. Dr. Susan Butler-Wu, an associate professor of clinical pathology at the University of Southern California, advised caution about using expired tests. The recommendation is to throw away tests that are actually expired, extension not included. Anyone testing with an expired test should watch for the tester's pink control line to clearly appear. If there's any funky business with that control, there is not a valid test result, and you cannot use that. Butler-Wu also recommended against trusting a negative result from an expired test. She said if you're sitting there and you have lost your sense of taste or smell, and that test is telling you it's negative and it was expired, do I believe it? No. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has more on COVID-19. A Sanford businessman is floating a plan to save the city of Sanford millions of dollars. Havant DSI Inc., the developer of the Kelly Drive Shopping Center project, is considering a private-public partnership with the city of Sanford. The proposal, if approved by the Lee County Commissioners and the Sanford City Council, will save the city millions of dollars and create an economic engine, increasing the tax base, stimulating the local economy, and creating jobs. The newly formed Kelly Drive Property Owners Association, LLC, a limited liability corporation whose registered agent is Sanford businessman George Avett, who is a 1955 graduate of W.B. Wicker School, is forming an alliance with other Kelly Drive developers and residents. The intent is on approaching the city and county with a proposal merging the shopping center site's infrastructure requirements with Sanford's and Lee County's infrastructure requirements, and to extend the city's utilities to the point where Kelly Drive connects with the U.S. Highway 421, exit 145, thus permitting developers and residents to gain access to the city's sewage, water, and other utilities. By merging the shopping center site's infrastructure requirements with the city's infrastructure requirements, would make the combination a private-public partnership eligible for a grant from the Biden administration to defray the cost of the project. The Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, also known as the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, is a $1.2 trillion investment in repairing and modernizing the nation's infrastructure that was signed into law by President Joe Biden on November 15, 2021. The Moore County Board of Education has banned the popular video app TikTok from school-issued computers and district networks, echoing a federal prohibition written into the latest Senate appropriations bill. Students were already barred from downloading TikTok and other social media apps on their school Chromebooks and iPads, or from accessing them through Moore County Schools' internet connections as a matter of administrative procedure. But this week, the school board unanimously passed a resolution prohibiting staff as well as students from accessing TikTok or any other programs from its Beijing-based parent company, ByteDance, on school-issued devices or internet connections. The resolution also directs teachers to avoid any requirement or suggestion that students access TikTok or any other ByteDance apps for educational purposes. A Pew Research survey last year found that 67% of American teens use TikTok. Board Chair Robert Levy placed the issue on the board's agenda for consideration. He said that the measure is intended to protect students and staff from potential data harvesting. TikTok and ByteDance are very closely associated with the government of China as well as the Chinese Communist Party, he said. He said, we have a concern that such things are not secure for our students. We have concerns that our students' images are being digitized by foreign governments and are being utilized by foreign governments, and that's not what we want to do. Federal agencies are in the process of enacting a TikTok ban for government phones and other devices. A bipartisan push wrapped that ban into a massive congressional spending bill signed into law at the end of last year. Superintendent Tim Locklear said that Moore County school staff have been blocked from access to TikTok as of December 30th, and that any staff who have installed the app on their school-issued devices have been directed to delete it. Well, this is a 3-day weekend for many because Monday is the birthday of the late civil rights leader, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And events and activities are scheduled all across the United States and beyond. In Harnett County, the annual breakfast will be held Saturday morning. In Moore County, it's 3 days of events. The West Southern Pines Civic Club, the NAACP of Moore County, and other community organizations are sponsoring a series of events honoring the life and legacy of Dr. King on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Local residents are invited to gather as community that remembers the past and works in the present to realize a vision for a better world. And on Monday, they will have the usual march. In Lee County, 2 events are planned. On Sunday at 2 p.m. at the Monument on South Horner Boulevard, a wreathing ceremony will be held with guest speaker Ann McCracken, with special music by Camille Collins and Raynard Jones and Company. At the end of the program, all elected officials in attendance will transport the wreath to stand in front of the monument. On Monday, the community event is held. Vendors will set up at 8 o'clock at the Civic Center. They will remain at the Civic Center until 3 p.m. A food truck will be parked on the outside of the Civic Center. A youth explosion will be held from 10 until noon, and it will feature a panel discussion, Are We There Yet? And that includes talent and other items of interest to young people. At 1 p.m., the large auditorium will be filled with people attending the formal program, which will include a message by Senior Pastor Reverend Daryl Antonio Blue, who is a native of Broadway and a graduate of Lee Senior High School. He is now senior pastor of Memorial AME Zion Church in Rochester, New York, and he is the presiding elder of the Rochester-Syracuse District. A choir comprised of grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and other relatives of the late Sadie Blue will sing, and the choir is called Voices of Sadie. And she is the grandmother of the speaker, and one of the daughters will introduce him. The program will also include a litany led by former State Representative Leslie Cox, and also the Community Service Awards will be presented and door prizes will be awarded. Masks are recommended but not required. Both programs are open to the public at no charge. If there are any proceeds realized, they will be used for scholarships for local and area students. Over the past 30 years, Council for Effective Actions and Decisions, better known as SEED, has awarded more than 100 scholarships to Lee and area county youths. You've been listening to the Noon News, brought to you Monday through Friday at this time by Central Electric Membership Corporation, a Touchstone Energy cooperative. For Sanford's #1 news team, I'm Margaret Murchison.